Stories, the lie that tells the truth. For the last 2 years, I worked as a teacher at a middle school. I was asked by the principal to do something about the bullying problem at the school. So first, I went to the students to see where I was starting. And I found out that the students already knew all of the facts. They already knew that 160,000 students a year stay home from school because of bullying every day. They already knew that 1 out of 10 of those students would drop out of school. They already knew that those students were 3 times more likely to engage in suicidal behaviors. They even already knew that 50% of those bullying situations could come to an end if a peer would step up and stop it. Yet their behavior was not changed. So I knew that I had to take a different approach. Uri Hassan from Princeton University's Department of Psychology studied it and found out that facts activate the language processors in the brain, but stories activate all of the parts of the brain that would be activated by the actual experience itself, not only for the storyteller, but also for the listener. So I theorized that if that storytelling could have that big of an effect on the brain, perhaps it could actually have an effect on behavior. So I used this method with my students to have an impact on bullying. I put them into groups, and I had them create stories about bullying, and then act out those stories. At the beginning of the process, only 20% of my students could identify situations in which they had either bullied someone or failed to step in when another student was being bullied. If you can't recognize a problem, you can't solve it. But by the end of this process, after going through actually getting into the bully's mindset in order to write the story, getting into the mindset of the person bullied and the mindset of the bystanders, 80% of my students were able to identify situations in which they had either bullied someone or failed to step in when someone else was being bullied. And what's even more important is that 60% of those students were able to give me examples of times when they had since changed that behavior now that they were aware of it. This is proof positive that stories are an effective way to change human behavior. Imagine if we use these methods in rehabilitation centers and juvenile detention centers. Perhaps we could put an end to our school to prison pipeline and create a positive future for children who might otherwise not have one. Not only that, but create a more empathetic and kinder world for all of us to live in. Thank you.